The purpose of this video is to help you take your new AR15, get it sighted in at 25 yards, and then give you some of the skills you need to shoot it to 300 yards the same day. If that sounds like a tall order, don't worry, it's really not. You just need some coaching. Taking a look at the AR15 I'll be using today, this is an AR-15A2 parts gun. It's never been shot before. It does not have a free float rail. It is shooting a standard chrome lined barrel. I'm not shooting match ammunition. I have AR-15A2 style rear sights, or USGI rear sights, so I've got a large and small aperture. We're going to be using the small aperture for the initial sight in. Do a Google search for a 25 meter zeroing target just like this one. You might find one for the M4 or the M16A2. It really won't matter. We're going to be using them in 25 yards since that's what most ranges have, not 25 meters, but the differences are inconsequential. So print off a few of these targets and take them with you to the range. We're going to mount them at 25 yards. I put mine on top of a B27 in case my shots are off that small paper. At least the big paper will give me an indication of where I'm hitting. Alright, a few things before we get started. If you're using a detachable carry handle, you're going to find that there's a little Z mark on it. Okay, you see that Z off to the right? We're going to click up to there. That's going to be our sighting position for 25 meters or 25 yards in this case. If you're using a fixed carry handle, you're simply going to go from the A3 and you're going to click up one click in elevation. When you're sighting in at 25 yards, you're going to be using the small peep, not the large peep. Using small peep is pretty easy. Roughly center your front sight post in the middle of your visual field, similar to this photo here. And when you're using it, you're going to focus on the front sight, not the rear. Forget about the rear. Focus on the front sight and align it with the target. The front sight will be crystal clear. The target will be slightly fuzzy. We want our point of impact to be right above the front sight, what they call dotting the eye. Alright, we're going to shoot our first 3-round group. I'm going to put my rifle on something very soft to aid in rifle stability. Focus on that front sight, crystal clear, pull the trigger to the rear. Focus on the front sight, crystal clear, pull the trigger slowly to the rear. We're also going to be shooting between our natural respiratory pauses. So I'm not going to take a deep breath and hold it. I'm not going to let all the air out of my lungs and hold it. I'm just shooting at a natural respiratory pause. Alright, after we've shot our first group, it's time to check results and make changes necessary to our sights. In this case, we're going to be taking a look at the windage. You see that the R and an arrow correspond to a clockwise turn, meaning if you turn this in the direction indicated, you're going to move your point of impact downrange to the right. Similarly, if you were to turn it to the left, you would obviously move your point of impact downrange to the left. So that's pretty foolproof, pretty simple. Up front, we have a front sight that says up clockwise. You twist it clockwise, you're going to be moving your point of impact downrange upwards. When adjusting your sights, make small incremental changes and check results. So I made my changes, and I'm going to settle back down onto the gun. The same rules, front sight, crystal clear, pull the trigger to the rear. This is about where I am right now. See that nice tight group there? Again, this is a 6 o'clock hold on a 300 meter silhouette or simulated silhouette. I think I'll bring it over one click. If that doesn't work out, I'll bring it back. But we're going to take this over to the 300-yard line right from the get-go. Okay, so that's going to be a test to see if this gun is sighted in well with just a 25 meter zero. Alright, the USGI nylon web sling is an important tool for shooting stability. We're going to learn how to sling up with it. First off, you're going to remove it from the rear of the buttstock assembly. Leave the front half connected. We're going to pull out a large loop from the center buckle and basically create a hangman's noose for your arm. We're going to give it a half twist clockwise so we can punch right through that hole. Bring it past the bicep and pull it down tightly. Alright, next we want to undo the front buckle and remove a lot of slack from the system. Now this is going to be different for each person because everybody's arm length is different, and your sling swivel position is probably different too. I like my sling swivel here because it acts as a hand stop. It's a great position for a sling swivel and I like it a lot. Give it a try. But we're going to take a lot of slack out, pulling tighter and tighter till it feels good. I like a 90-degree bend in my arm, so I'm going to look for that. Once I have my 90-degree bend, I know I'm good, and the sling is nice and tight. Another good practice to get into is learning your natural point of aim. When you're finally resting down on target, you want to shift your body over until the front sight rests naturally on the target without any effort on your part. That's your natural point of aim. So as we begin to shoot at 300 yards, remember, crystal clear front sight, target slightly fuzzy, pull the trigger to the rear. I have good sling tension here. The rifle's firmly planted into my shoulder pocket, and I'm shooting nose to charging handle and shooting at natural respiratory pauses. These are all keys to good shooting. So I fired my group, and I'm bringing the camera down range to check results since I can't capture it through the spotting scope here. Awesome. Look at that. 300 yards, and we're on target. We're on paper. That's just after initial 25 yard zero using Federal XM193. So I'm going to make some changes, incremental changes. I'm going to go one click up at a time and come back and check results. So I'm going to head back to the firing line here. Alright, I brought the camera with me downrange so I could show you guys what I was looking at from my spotting scope. So I made 3 additional clicks up. That top 5 round group is my final adjustment. The wind started picking up, so I disregarded any additional windage adjustment. So you can see 1, 2, 3 total clicks. I'll show you in a moment. It's not difficult to get out to 300 yards on your first day if you know some concepts behind the marksmanship and practice them at home with dry firing. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you share it if you find anybody that's new to the AR and wants to start shooting a little bit further out. This is Brian for the New Rifleman, and I appreciate you watching.